Thank you again, guys, for joining. Thank you for the pre-submitted questions. Like I said, they are mostly focused around the mint, but a lot of, I would say, subtopics around the mint that are actually really, really good questions, as you guys always ask. So we are going to get to the pre-submitted questions, of course, as you guys know, in typical style. We also try our best to get to all of the questions in the chat. So I do the best I can to sort of switch task between being up here and also managing the chat. So I'll do the best I can with that. And we have the origin video for The Guardian today. So as you know, we've been releasing these origin short films that are telling the backstory of the heroes from the game. We've done the archer, we've done the mage, and in addition to the origin videos, we've been doing some class highlights, showing the game and then showing the cinematic of the character as it relates to the story, fighting in the game. So you've seen those sort of morphing in and out. And, you know, Roscoe and Madison have been doing a wonderful job. And he was up, of course, again, till like 4 or 5 in the morning getting this video out so that you guys can have it available today. And we can start with that. And of course, like I always joke, but when you watch this video, you'll know I'm serious this time. I don't know how to follow the energy of these videos, but once you watch this one, you're going to understand. I don't know if I really can follow the energy of this video. But with that, Zulfiqar, how are you?
I'm great. Oh, I can follow it. Don't worry. I got you.
One will see. One will see.
Yeah.
So, guys, of course, yes. So as you guys know, of course, continue submitting your questions. We will do the best we can to man the chat. But we do have, I'm not going to count how many pre-submitted questions we have, but it's a few. So we're going to kind of give that priority. And then, of course, man the chat the best we can. But what we're going to do now is we're going to start off with the origin video. So as you know, the origin video will be posted separately. I'll probably try to get that out today as well, just before the weekend. So this will be separate, but you guys are the first ones that are going to get to see the backstory of the Guardian. So for anybody who's here who's new, because we've been hanging out with some gaming guilds, you'll know that if you play the game, you get 3 classes that you start with. You get the archer, you get the mage, and you get the guardian. All the characters in the game all have backstories. They all have a history, and all those stories interconnect. I want you to keep that interconnection word in mind. With that, I'm going to go ahead. Zulfiqar, you have anything you want to say before I get started showing the video?
I'm going to save it for after the video. But I hope everyone enjoys. This video, you're going to see a lot more of the world of the Fifth Kingdom. It's going to feel a little bit more lived in, and you're going to see what things are like for the people who have been doing what you've been doing, which is delving into the depths and extracting resources from this magical world.
To the victory!
To us!
He used to be someone. Look at him now, he's a drunk. He's a loser. He's done.
He was a hero. A prayer carved in stone.
Used to be.
The crows took the grain, the winter took the rest. I learned my first name from a ruin in her chest.
Then the old bell rang through the broken gate. I saw the black sky and I heard my fate. One small spark in the dark old hall. One small spark would stand through it all. Rise, rise from the ash. Rise, rise and hold fast. I was born in the ruin, but I will not break. Rise, rise for the dawn. Rise, rise and sing on. From the bones of the kingdom I will take back my name.
I walked through the pines with a rusted blade, past burnt watchtowers and fields unmade. The wise man said
The leg is beyond saving. Your days delving are over, Guardian. But now it is time to pass the torch.
I'm not ready to give up.
You don't have a choice, Delver.
One small spark would stand through it all. Rise from the ash, rise and hold fast.
I apologize, but I have no room or board for anyone.
I don't need shelter. I need armor. For the caves.
Are you excavating Ember without a household?
I can heal your leg, but I cannot do anything for you if you are not of sound mind.
If you really can fix me, I will kick the drink right here now for good. And I will help you.
And Summer Nunnigat.
My God, it is better than it was before. It's a miracle. I have not been able to walk properly in years.
Then help me now, old Delver. Help me save my people.
I will protect you on your journey. Because I am the Guardian.
From the ash, rise and hold fast.
I was born in the ruin, but I will not break.
You two are going to need my help.
Rise and sing on.
From the bones of the kingdom, I will take back my
Now I want to watch it again.
Encore. I think you guys understand why I said, I have said I can't follow the energy. I really can't follow the energy. I'm going to do the best I can. That reminds me of, I was getting Avengers vibes. And actually, one thing that came to mind, and I'm sure that the Guardian is not based on Captain America, but I almost want to start calling him Captain Kingdom.
Yes. But I was getting Fat Thor vibes, man. You know, he had to
Yeah,
get
a
back
little
into
bit Thor,
shape
too. Yeah,
to go whip Thanos part 2.
So that is the, you could tell, before we get into the questions, Zulfiqar, tell us a little bit about the Guardian and his story. What's going on with him? I mean, something happened obviously with his leg, and he's making a comeback. He's there's a little bit of a story behind it. But what's the thought process behind this guy?
Yeah, so one of the things Ross and I wanted to do is we wanted to show, like I told you guys before, the world has to feel lived in. If you're a person who is hired by rich people to go kill monsters in caves, what are you like? What is your place in society? What's the micro society? How do you interact with other delvers? And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to take a story of a person who had the highest highs and the lowest lows. It's almost like if you've ever met someone who's a college athlete, they're already thinking about the NFL, right? But then they take a bad hit to the knee, and suddenly they're a business major again. So the idea is we wanted to show sort of a little bit more of this world, what it looks like. You'll notice that we don't spend a lot of time on New Dawn Island. We're not in the major city of the Fifth Kingdom. We're in the Outlands. We're in a small outpost that's set in the southern continent, sort of some of the land that's been taken back by the Delvers and Explorer that have expanded out. And we'll get to that a little bit later. You'll see bands of Delvers. So this guy, he's a little bit past his prime. He got hurt, so he can't delve anymore. One of the things is that Delvers, it's like crypto people. Like I told you guys, the Fifth Kingdom is an analogy for the entire crypto space. Easy money in, easy money out. You're driving a Lambo 1 year, you're driving a Honda Accord Sport the next. So you'll see that he's still trying to be part of the group. He still wants to hold on to what he had. So he's hanging out in the Delver bar. He's drinking. He's drowning his sorrows. Early on, the younger Delvers, they want to hang out with him because he's famous. He's been there. He's done it. Anyone who's ever been a senior person in a young man's game, you realize that the veneer wears out early. And so a few things about the Delvers, you'll notice one is, of course, we have an inclusive cast because people come from all over the four kingdoms to come make their fortune in the fifth kingdom. Also, you'll notice one of the female Delvers, she has pointy ears. There are no elves in the fifth kingdom, but Ember is a very interesting resource, and there's something that Ember can do. Ember can affect your physical appearance. So there's something that Delvers do, and there's other things they do, but one of the things they do is called ear sharpening. It's something that Delvers do to show that they're prominent and that they're dedicated to the life. It's like a hardcore cool thing. It's like anybody can get a piercing, but if you are so good and you're so dedicated that you can use Ember, you can afford to get the treatment to get your ears sharpened. It's like a status symbol. It's like a cool thing. So if you bring a girl home and she's got sharp ears, it's like, leave her, homie. She's for the caves. So that's a little aspect of the lived-in world that we wanted to show. And then, of course, we interacted. So this guy, he's down and out. He tries to become a craftsman, which when we there's a couple questions that I'll be answering when we talk about how we introduce vocations to the Fifth Kingdom. But he goes from being a delver to being a blacksmith. Why? He didn't save any of his money. This guy just thought he was unbeatable, like all of us. You talk to any trader, when you got a hot hand, you got a hot hand, and it's never going to go away until it goes away. I remember, well, I won't get into it, but March 2023, 7 days of all-time highs on gold. We were all shorting. It was a bad day. But anywho, so this guy's just trying to make the most out of what he's got left. So he can't be in the game, but he can craft items for people that are still participating. Well, enter our young mage. Obviously, she made it out of the caves, barely, and she realizes she needs some help. And so she asks around, and she hears about this guy. So she goes and she said, look, I need some armor. I could have made it further if I just had more stuff. She meets this guy, he gives her some advice. And she ends up deciding she's going to use what she learned at Jebel El Nar, and she's going to use the Ember to heal him. Now, this is a big decision because, remember, she was sent on a mission to get Ember to save the Academy. She was only able to grab one rock when she went into the caves. So that's when she realizes, look, I'm going to need some help. And second, it's all she's got. I mean, if she came home with that, at least she could prove that it is there. She found it. Maybe she get help. But now we're seeing a little bit of her personality come in. She doesn't want to just bring back one rock. She wants to bring back a horde. So she chooses that because he's willing to give up the drink and he proves that he has discipline remaining, she heals him. And so once he's back in the game, there's just so much to it. I mean, if anybody has ever been really good at something or been at the height of something and then had it taken away from you, how many nights do you stay up just thinking, okay, Lord, put me back. Just put me back where I was, and I'll do it different this time. I'll appreciate it more, and I will just crush it. So he armors up, and our guardian goes out delving what he was put on this digital earth to do. And we run into our archer. And of course, later on in later stories, we'll sort of discuss how the archer found out about the two of them and decided to team up with them. But it was very much a way to just pay off the earlier videos. And I love the way it came together. It's just another video that makes the world feel more lived in. And I think the only way this video is going to be topped is with the video that we release on Monday on Mint Day.
Good point. Good point. You know, something you're thinking of. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I know you want to. So something I was thinking of when you were discussing, how many people have wanted a second chance? Everybody's wanted a second chance. Everybody's wanted the ability to go back in and try to fix something or redo something. And that's really what I saw with the story of the Guardian. And it kind of made me think. I was sent an article, actually there's a few people I'm seeing saying this literally within, I think, the last week. NFTs are making a comeback. And NFTs are making a comeback like 21, 2022, and 2023 are, the NFT market there. And I thought, yeah, well, that's interesting. So we were a little bit ahead of the curve. So it's like the market's making a comeback. People are making a comeback. So I love that part of the story because we've all wanted that second chance.
Well, and it's such a metaphor for what we're doing here, what we're going to be doing on Monday together. Crypto has kicked all of our asses a little bit. And it's just one of those things where it takes more than one person. It's not going to be just me. It's not going to be just Shadow. It's not just going to be our ambassadors. It's not just going to be you. It's going to be all of us together kind of teaming up to go into these caves and go get what we deserve.
That's a great
Which is a,
segue into the questions, I think. I think
yeah.
we could spend the whole time talking about the Guardian video, truthfully. But like I said, guys, don't poke fun, but tell the people who can't be here alive, hey, you missed out. We keep revealing this stuff during the AMAs, but you guys are the first ones to see it. So that'll be posted as well, by the way. So share that around as well. I'm gonna watch it again after we're done here. So I'm gonna start off with the pre-submitted questions first. We are getting some phenomenal questions in the chat as well. I am highlighting them as best I can because the chat moves so quickly. It's sometimes tough to go back and find them, but I'm highlighting them as best I can. But let's start with some of the pre-submitted questions. This one is from Luther Maxell. Excuse me. And the question is, will Mint holders have priority access to future classes, land, game modes, or ecosystem expansions? Well, go. Okay, you answer first, and I'll piggyback off it. Then you have a way you want to say this.
Yes. If you're an NFT holder, you will get first right of refusal to every new feature and product.
Yeah. So, there's always this sort of tug of war. I never call us a project. I know project, that's the term that's out there. Project denotes typically something that's around for a short period of time. We're a business. We're a business that utilizes the technology, so I don't want to call us a project, but there's a lot of projects, I'll just say, that what they do is they tend to reward either early adopters or people who come in later. Usually they pay somebody with someone's money. That's actually how it works. But whether it's that or something else, they usually tend to find a way to reward certain people. And of course, there's always a reward for being early. That's just that nature of life. Anything in life, if you do something sooner, if you take care of your health sooner, if you find that best relationship sooner, you enjoy it longer. So there's always a nature of being early. But in our system, we are going to be rewarding all types of people who enter in all types of stages. But yeah, those who have, who are NFT holders will have definitely priority to stuff. You guys are going to enjoy it the most too, because you're going to see how these systems start to connect. And as you level up your household and your heroes and your characters, you participate in the system. When we introduce something, you're already going to have progression in the system, and you're going to see how that introduction increases what you've already done, right? So you guys are going to benefit from that. And the second question here we have is Stewie000. He asks, I love the household system where stake in the Lord unlocks earning. For someone who might grab only 1 or 2 NFTs, what does a realistic long-term progression path look like? Like, for example, how quickly can you actually start discovering meaningful stuff? Great question.
Immediately. So even if you have 1 NFT, congratulations, you won. Because once they're out, they're out, and then everyone's going to want them, and you're going to be one of the ones that have them. So if you have a couple, that means that you have your Lord, and you have a support for him, and it means that you're going to be qualified for a vocation. And I think there's another question that was asked, so I'll save before I start talking about vocations. But immediately, you're going to be able to start extracting tokens from mines. So that's the key. Immediately, the DeFi system is going to be available at MVP, and I've said it before on X, and I've said it before in AMAs. If you can find a place where you can park USDT and make more than 1 to 5% a month, let me know. I haven't found it.
Yeah, well, without maybe taking your life into your hands, I always sort of joke and I say, yeah, if you can find a play to earn system combined with a DeFi mechanism that has a sustainable economy where a token can't go to zero, that has a NFT that becomes the holder of your progress and the maintainer of your value with this level of storytelling with a real business, let me know. I'll go there. Just haven't found it yet. So I had to build it. All right. So, but great answer for that. Thank you. So Montana's asking, the community vibe during pre-mint has been incredible. How does the team plan to maintain high engagement and avoid the typical post-mint, quote, cool down period? I'll answer this first, and I'll let Zulfiqar jump in. So I've been holding back, quite frankly. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. Some of you who are in my DMs, I've been putting in, I tell some of you this, I've put in like 11-hour days, but it's mostly working on coding and infrastructure and partnerships and things like that. I really enjoy this aspect of the business, which is interacting with you guys, creating video content. I haven't created nearly as many videos as I've wanted to create. I haven't engaged with you guys nearly as much as I've wanted to do that. I haven't really been able to get in as much as I've wanted to get in because the business is so front loaded, right? Because we're building something that just hasn't been done. And we're doing it with our money, not with other people's money, right? So that's just the key differentiator. So no matter whose money it is, you have to be the guardian. I'll use that word. You have to be the guardian of that money, and you have to spend it
Steward.
wisely. And you have to work. Yeah, you have to build these systems. They have to function. They have to work, and they have to make sense, and they have to benefit you guys as well. So I love this aspect of the business is relating with you guys and hanging out with you guys and discussing the game and releasing new things. My background is in Web 2, as I've mentioned, e-commerce and service-based businesses, and there's no better feeling in business as an entrepreneur than when you see people truly enjoying the product in the way you intended them to enjoy it. And so, from my standpoint, I actually look at this as like, well, I've been holding back as far as interacting with you guys. So that's kind of my answer towards it. I mean, I plan to do a lot more. I know Zulfiqar plans to do a lot more, but yeah, Zulfiqar, how would you answer that question?
By continuing doing what we're already doing, which is every week we put out new materials. We either put out new entertainment. Actually, we do both at once. We put out new entertainment. We put out new updates to the video game. Post-mint, we're going to be releasing new features, new capabilities, new ways for people to interact with the D app. So really, this is just the beginning. The reason why the vibe's been good is because this is what authentic building looks like. There is no smoking gun. There is nothing hidden. I was talking to one of the influencers we work with on X. It's Kong BTC, and I told him, I was like, "Look, bro, it's the blockchain. I don't understand how people get so confused about it. It's public and it's immutable. You cannot fudge it. So when we say something, you don't have to believe me. Go check. And as long as you operate from that paradigm, it's a fun experience. And so you keep coming here to consume it, and we'll keep giving you content. We'll keep giving you more and more updates. So the hype's not going to die down. You see our videos, the origin videos, I feel like they're getting better and better. That Guardian video was just a baby taste of the bi-weekly series that I was talking about last week. Or that I was talking about, I talked about last week, but also that I was talking about last night with the Crimson Zeal folks. We are going to be putting out like our own version of Secret Level. It's going to be an anthology that takes place in different areas of the Fifth Kingdom, and it's going to tell different stories so that you can experience the world of the Fifth Kingdom. And they're going to be longer form. It's going to be about double what that Guardian was, but it's going to be enjoyable. And there isn't going to be a cooldown period, to be honest, because I just need everyone to understand that this is different. Every project says that, every company says that, but this really is. You can feel it, you can see it. We've already done more than other people, and I feel like we still haven't done enough for you guys. There's so much more we want to do. Typically, you buy the JPEG, and everyone says, "Oh, we made it. I've got this thing. I'm in a Discord," and nobody cares because the only way you make money off it is to sell it to somebody else. So if you sell it and it's your last one, you're no longer in the community. That's not us. An NFT, one of our lords, is not meant to be purchased and then flipped on a secondary market. You buy it, you use it, and then you make more money than everybody else in Web3. And when they're crying about the downturns, when they're crying about somebody got caught in an Epstein file and they sold 50% of their Bitcoin holdings, and now your bag's dropping because everything you have is a reflection token, that doesn't affect us. It's not going to bother you. And everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, how come you're not crying?" And you're going to say, "I'm in the Fifth Kingdom, dog. I ain't got that problem. Sucks to suck."
That's a great point. I mean, if you look at what has been put out weekly, by the way, there's supposed to be another game update today. I mentioned that a couple of days ago, I think, but maybe it was yesterday. I'm losing track of time myself. But I mean, look at what we've been putting out weekly up to this point. There's been no, hey guys, come give us money. There's been none of that yet. There's been no event like that. So this has all been putting our money where our mouth is. And I think that when you look at weekly updates as far as the cinematic and the storytelling and the updates to the game. I mean, really, the updates to the household, like the vocations, if you look at the roadmap, the hatchery and all this stuff, really is dependent on the mint. So that's why those things are going to come post-mint. So I kind of look at this as like, Zulfiqar, I'm going to borrow a saying from you, the proof is in the pudding. And it is.
And the pudding's in the eating.
Yes. I knew I was going to try to copy it, but not be able to. So the point is I mean, I kind of look at things like, look, this is the energy so far, right? So this is what a lot of projects, air quote, do in space is they'll get people hyped, and then afterwards they're like, okay, we got the money, so we're good. We just kind of like leave them alone. I look at this as like we haven't even got started yet. I mean, we have like a 3-4 year internal roadmap, so we haven't even gotten started yet. So anyway, I want to try to keep moving on here, but I hope that answers that question. It's a great question, though. Funton FX. For those of us who get attached to our characters or households, how permanent is everything? So if I pour time into building one, can I lose it? Or is there a way to protect or pass down what you've built? Go ahead. You start off and I'll finish.
Yeah, it'll last for as long as the internet exists. I mean, if World War III happens and the entire intranet goes down and we're all using IRC again on the ARPANET, I mean, I'll figure it out. We'll probably still be here even in that case. But if electricity disappears, if the rapture happens, I mean, anything short of an act of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll be here on your computer screens. And is there a way to protect or pass down what you've built? Just by being in our dashboard, you're protected. And if you want to pass it on, sell it on a secondary market and let someone pick up where you left off.
Yeah, that was the point that I wanted
Easy peasy.
I wanted to hone in on with the question, because everything you do in our ecosystem is attached to your Lord, right? The earnings you're getting from the game, the earnings you're getting from the household, your progress and participation, that leveling up follows the Lord. So whoever has that Lord has that progress, right? So what does that become worth later? Well, depends on what it's worth to somebody. If you have $10,000 in the mine and you're earning every month, it depends on what it's worth to them to earn that, right? So anyway, hope that answers your question. Our NFTs are your identity, and your identity is your progress. So Treasure 2003 is asking, you mentioned in one of your X posts that the late majority always arrive asking why it feels different. But what do you think will make someone who joins months after mint still feel like they're part of something alive and not just showing up to an already built castle? Well done on the branding in your question. I love that. Zulfiqar, how would you answer that?
They're going to have all the same access as a person that was early. Basically, if you get into one of the first 10,000 citizens, you do everything everyone else did. You will just not have the advantage of time that they had. For example, Shadow, every project we've ever made, when somebody comes into it, whether it's a year after it launched, 3 months after it launched, a year and a half after it launched, everyone always says the same thing. I wish I would have started earlier. The only thing you can't get packed is opportunity cost. And so a person will come in, they'll love it, they'll like it, they'll do everything you're doing, except for they'll wish they started earlier. So when you guys are hatching your dragons, they might be just getting their first egg. As your guilds are deploying your first ships, they'll still be gathering lumber. As you guys are crafting materials, they'll still be trying to get the crafting. As you guys are creating well, I don't want to give that away yet. I think there's another question. But as you guys are creating recipes, or I'll let it go. As you guys are creating recipes that other people are using, they'll be consuming the things that you made. It's just time. Time is the only thing you can't get back. If I invent a time machine, I'll let you know. I promise.
That's why I'm always told that. Well, that's why I usually sign off by saying I thank people for their time, because money you get back, time is a one-off transaction. You'll never get it back. So people who put in the time to something, it's like, take, for example, somebody who sees a vision of something that comes in and buys a bunch of real estate. And then years later, somebody says, how did you know? I wish I could have gotten here. The thing is never that they're in the wrong place, is that they didn't get to the place early enough. And as Zulfiqar had mentioned, that has been the theme of every project that I've been a part of, every business I've been a part of, is that somebody wishes they were there sooner. When I got into e-commerce, it was about, boy, we're talking like 2013, 2014. I felt I was late at that point. I was like, man, if I could have gotten here in 2010, it would have been better. So you could always do something earlier. That's the key. And that's always been, in my experience with Web3 projects and businesses, there's always been the number one thing people have said. Crystal6337 is asking, with finite minds, Ember shards as progression fuel, rolling buybacks, and deflationary elements, how have you modeled the token and resource economy to balance player earnings, scarcity, and long-term value accrual, especially as the kingdom scales beyond the initial 10,000 citizens? Great question. What?
Very carefully.
Very carefully. Well, there's that.
Well, this is a very, very advanced question, and there's a lot of ways I could break it down, but I don't want to give an entire thesis. But what I'll say is everything's relational. You notice in our project, in our company, everything is relational. Every product plays with something else. So you hit it with the very first thing that you mentioned with finite minds. Now, the amount of minds that are in existence isn't finite. It's relative. It's relative to the amount of ember that's being gathered by completing daily tasks by the delvers. So there's a relational connection. The fact that everything's relational is what keeps it correlated to no matter how large the population is. So the final question was, well, what happens when the population scales? It's a economy of scale relational mathematical equation. So it doesn't matter if we have 10,000 citizens or 100,000 citizens. The relational aspect of how they interplay with one another means that the ratios will always self-correct. So a mine, the amount of mines that are available will meet the demand of the high lords that want to deposit, but with their finite lifespans, they don't go on forever. So we don't have to worry about compounding interest or anything growing outside the bounds of what it was designed for, which will actually hit at another question about token emissions.
Yeah,
That's a very good question. But it's because nothing in our system exists in a vacuum. There are no silos.
Well, I feel like having been on the back end of this a couple of times, having watched how some tokenomics are built, I can't, you know how many times I've had somebody say, these are the perfect tokenomics. And I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, no, not really. And then I'll tell them, hey, I think you have some issues here and here. And they'll say, no, because of this. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but what you're describing is the problem. And it's almost like they have blinders on. They can't quite see it. So our system, as Zulfiqar mentioned, is relational. A is based on B. B is based on A. You can't have B without A. So it's a very easy sort of, not easy, it's simple, but it is a complex sort of system. And we've had a lot of people work on this. We've had economists, not just ourselves, but yeah, anyway, I can go on for a long time discussing tokenomics and how a lot of projects don't actually provide real utility. They don't solve the equation of velocity. There's a lot of things that can go into bad tokenomics, but anyway, and you know, there's a lot of play to earn out there where tokens go to zero. We don't have that problem here. So
all of
really
them,
have an ecosystem.
not a lot of them, brother. All of them, because they all have the same problem. They run out of other people's money.
They could all go to zero, and mainly because there's very little to no utility. They're just waiting for more people to come and buy. Well, there's only so many people that can come buy. At a certain point, the utility has to take over. Anyway, so I'm gonna stop the tokenomics talk because I can go on for quite a long time. But I hope that answers that question. It is a question that could really be expounded on for a long time because it's a complex question about tokenomics and usage and velocity and utility and resources. Anyway, so we'll stop there. Hope that answers your question. D. Young Prof is asking, many projects promise to build a community, but Fifth Kingdom speaks about building a civilization. At what point do you believe the kingdom truly stops being your project as developers and becomes our kingdom as citizens? So that's like question number one. And the second question is, what milestones, governance structures, cultural traditions, or player-driven systems must exist before you would confidently say that the future of Fifth Kingdom is being shaped more by its community than it's by its creators? So at what point does the torch get passed? Is how I would phrase that.
That's such a good question. D.
Yes,
Young Prof, I love your questions. I don't think it's an AMA if we don't get one D. Young Prof question in there. So I'll try to be concise because we have so many questions we need to get to. But what milestones? You started listing things, and I think each one of those is sort of like a milestone. They're things that you are doing that we are not doing. Governance structures. Once the sovereign starts coming to me and saying, hey, this is what we want, I feel like that's a big win. Instead of us coming to the sovereign saying, hey, look, here's what we have the option for. What do you want to do? When you guys start coming to me saying, hey, this is what we want, that I think that's a big win for me personally. Cultural traditions, when you guys start coming up with your own slang, I think it's gonna be cool. When you guys start coming up with your own acronyms, when you guys start calling things colloquially, stuff that we don't call it in the back office, I think that's a big win. Player-driven systems. Once we have everything out, once we have the hatchery, once we have trade routes, once we have kingdom builder, once we have the gladiator game, once we have the RTS, like once we have everything out and you see how it plays together and you see the user generated content, which goes to the last part of your question, you know, that's when we can confidently say that's being shaped by the users. So I mentioned it earlier. When you extract the tokens from these mines, I told you before, we started out with mines because it's gems, it's metals, and you'll use those to make items and jewelry and accessories and different things for lords and for the game. Well, what do you make? We are going to have people who choose a vocation, like a blacksmith, like our guardian, who's a former delver. You will also make the blueprints. You will make the blacksmithing plans, and that is the user-generated content that we haven't talked about before, where you will actually say, hey, this is what I want to make, and there will be rules, which is, hey, if you have this, it can do this. You will create sort of like the formulas and the balance of, hey, this is what I want to make, and if you're the first person to make it, you own it, and you get a profit share of everyone that crafts that item in the future. So once we have our user-generated content going, it's like I told you guys, I know that you can do stuff, I just don't know how you're going to do it. And at that point, once guilds are sending out ships and fleets, and you've got people that are having battles that have nothing to do with us, when you have people that are hosting their own games, when you got people that are raising their own animals, when you've got people that are making their own crops, I mean, guys, this is EVE Online on the blockchain in a fantasy world. The idea is that it'll be 100% created by you guys. Yeah, so I'll stop there. But you really almost won't need us to do anything but pay the server fees, inshallah.
I can't wait to see how you guys sort of direct the ship of the story too. That's going to be very interesting because, you know, I have a creative bone in my body. It's just a small one, as opposed to Zulfiqar and Roscoe. As somebody who doesn't have a huge creative bone in their body, you know, I like to think of people who are creative as very talented, and it's very imaginary, and it's always a pleasure to sit back as somebody who's less of a creative sort of. I was never like a painter or a writer or anything like that. To watch how people form stories and characters and progress them throughout, you know, the lifespan of that story. So I can't wait to see how you guys form the story in that as well. So great answer to that question. Thank you for asking. Bessus, I think I'm saying that right, 2, is asking, as Fifth Kingdom moves closer to the mint and eventually welcomes thousands of new citizens, what are some internal principles or non-negotiables that guide every decision the team makes to ensure the project never sacrifices its long-term vision for short-term hype or market expectations? There's a lot that can be said on this.
I thought about this for a while. It was a really good question. And there's a lot of things we don't do that we could do, that we've seen other people do.
Yeah.
And there's been a few examples where we've said, no, we don't do that. One is no freebies and no discounts. There you go. If we start lowering the price to new entries, then all it does is devalue everybody that came before. Our products will never be this inexpensive ever again. You get in at the current price point, that is the lowest it will be. Freedom ain't free. Costs $1.05.
There you go. Yeah, so I think, you know, there's a lot of different ways I can go with this question. I think that's a really good way to end. Let me not expound, or I'll go for another 20 minutes. No, I would say, let me wrap up real quick on that question. We will not devalue something just to make more money, to bring more people in so that we could try to pay someone with someone else's money. That doesn't work that way here. It can't work that way here, quite frankly. But we'll never try to, you know, wrangle more people in at the sake of sacrificing our current community. Because I've seen that happen many times where, hey, if we just do this, but okay, but what does that do to your current people who have supported you from day zero? They don't care about that. I've seen this happen many times. So the people who are here have to be supported, and the people who are coming in later have to also feel welcome. You'll notice I'm doing that with the guilds as well. So kind of look at that as a little baby taste of how I would look at, you know, the long-term vision of the community growth.
Well, I'll just throw the gauntlet down. I'll tell you what. You go find an NFT. Let's say you go find a $40,000 Azuki. Go find a $100,000 Bored Ape. I'll make a bet. You go find a $100,000 Bored Ape, and somebody else can buy a $250 Fifth Kingdom NFT, and then take the remaining 99,900 and 700, whatever it is. I'm not a mathematician, but you take the rest of the money, deposit it into a mine, and then after 12 months, we'll see who's crying. It's not going to be the person that purchased our product.
All right. OJO Gabriel. The kingdom is built around the idea of creating a world rather than simply delivering another game. Looking 5 years ahead, 5 years, what behaviors or achievements from the community would make you say, quote, this is exactly the type of civilization we hoped players would build? What a great question.
Yeah, well, like I said, when we hear people using colloquialisms we didn't invent, when we see people putting custom skins into digital items that we made available, but they crafted, when I can log into a game and I can go into a section of the game that's a community member completely invented, and the aesthetic is completely their idea. The items were made in a platform that I created, but everything I see is from their mind to my eyes. Boom, we did it.
Well, the first thing I thought of with this question is what crypto project has been around for 5 years? That was the first thing I was going to ask, but well, I mean, we're going to be around much longer than that. I kind of look at this as, man, it's so many different directions I can go with my answer. But when you guys feel like you own a part of this story, when you feel like you own the experience, when the experience is not just, yeah, I have an NFT and play this game and earn something, it's something that feels unique to you, and you own that experience. Is to me, that would be the way I would answer that question. But I mean, we can expound for the next however long on that. But let me move on. So Johnson 12W is asking, as multiple games are introduced, how will Dungeon Survivors, actually not the name of the game anymore, it's Ember Depths, but anyway, preserve a consistent economy and player identity while allowing each game to offer unique mechanics and experiences?
It's the only way to get into mines.
Yeah.
Full
So
stop.
each game is going to have I don't want to say unique selling point, but there is sort of a unique experience, right? So there's going to be a unique experience, not just from the games aspect, not just from your aspect, but also from the earning potential aspect as well, and how that interacts with the household, and how that interacts with all the new systems that we're going to come out with and all the new games. You're going to see how these things interact with each other and are interconnected. Remember I said interconnected before the Guardian? Keep that word in mind, interconnected. So you want to take some bonus questions from the pre-submitted, Zulfiqar, or you want to start going to the chat? What do you prefer?
Yeah, I wanted to get these two, that's why I wrote them down.
Okay, right on. So, Oliver 22, always appreciate your questions. Does your roadmap include guild systems, cooperative raids, or competitive tournaments where NFT ownership enhances the teamwork instead of simply increasing individual player strength? That's a great question.
Yes, when we introduce our guild portion of the DApp, there will be a benefit to being a member of a guild. There are going to be things that guilds can make that add benefits to the entire guild, everyone who's a member. So membership of a guild and the strength of that guild will benefit everyone that has the tag.
Right on.
Yep.
Heron Khan, I think I'm saying that right, is asking, could players eventually rent or lend their NFTs securely to others, enabling broader participation while still protecting the asset ownership and create additional earning opportunities? That's an interesting question. I had not thought of that.
Well, we did think about that, and the answer is yes. In fact, one of the vocations that we have planned is contract writing, where you are going to be able to sublet your holdings in the Fifth Kingdom into NFTs that represent ownership in a mine, in a trade route, in a quarry, and then you will be able to sell those. And so people that aren't even members of a mine or a quarry or a trade route, they will get the benefits of those trade routes by purchasing that contract from you.
I'm being facetious,
Virtual
just for
CEOs
the
and
record.
virtual CEOs.
Yes. Let's knock out these last two, and then we'll jump to the chat. We got a lot of those in the chat here that we're going to try to answer as well. King Atomic is asking, how will the team prevent market crashes if a massive wave of high lords simultaneously dump their claimed resources into the open market instead of utilizing them for crafting.
That's why I wanted to answer this because we've answered it multiple times, and I need everyone to understand this. King Atomic One, my brother, that's impossible. It's impossible. There's a reason why our discovery rates are capped. If everybody wanted to sell their tokens and not use a single one for crafting, we can manage the liability. That's why there's a cap. That's why even if you have a 5% mythic, you can't use your hassle to go beyond that. There's a cap for a reason. Everything was mathematically planned out. The situation that you just described is impossible. It's another reason why we're superior to other play to earn gaming projects. And to answer the previous question, that's another design thing that we will never do. We will never allow you, we'll never say, oh, well, you know what? We need to hype people up. So let's break the mathematical equations and risk it. And hey, guys, you want to make 10% a month? You want to make 20% a month? It happens. Nope. A little bit of discipline goes a long way.
I've seen that happen. I've also seen systems where there's some sort of lockup period, and because the system's going really, really bad, they break the lockup period. I'm just like, okay, you just basically dropped a nuclear weapon on a system that was already dying. So you basically just ensured its death. Basically, you have a system that's not sustainable, and then you just nuked it on top of that. So I've seen stuff like that. I've seen where you've got an ecosystem that something is supposed to be locked up for a period of time, doesn't end up getting locked up because people want something sooner, and the founders or the team or whatever kind of cave into that. They don't have, as Zulfiqar mentioned, the discipline, or they break something because they want to try to get more people to come in because they realize the ecosystem is not as sustainable as they thought it was. To kind of piggyback on what Zulfiqar is saying, the situation that you presented is not possible in this scenario. It just isn't.
Withdrawals will never be halted, and there won't be a halvening. I see, and I'm just going to be real quick here so we can get to the comments. But yeah, everyone's talking about Robinhood chain right now. Fuck Robinhood. Yeah, I said it. I remember when people mistreat me. If you guys forget, Robinhood's owned by Charles Schwab. When too many people were making money on the GameStop stock, they turned off withdrawals. So yeah, we're not gonna do that. The system is what the system is. We're never gonna fudge with it.
Final question before we get to the chat. Daddy Geo is asking, what was the single hardest system or loop to get feeling, quote, alive and correct? And what specific iteration or insight finally cracked it?
So I can answer this two ways, but I'll try to be succinct. One was the discovery of new mines based on overall Ember being accumulated. So one of the questions was, who creates the mines? How do we know how many mines to put out based on the consumption model of the High Lords? And I can't remember exactly how it happened, if it was me or Jan or you, Shadow, but somebody mentioned like, well, why don't we just make it based off how many Ember are in circulation? And I was like, okay, so once we meet a certain like global threshold, a new mine will open, and then that can get consumed. And then as people participate, then another one. And that was just one of those relational categories that allowed us to crack the code. And then the second part I would say is just legal. It's so difficult to work in digital assets because when you're a global company and you have a global consumer base, you have to coordinate with every single country. And the American government is stupid. They are the dumbest of the dumb. They're the lowest of the low. It's really terrible. They were the hardest ones to work with, but we got it done. So the hardest part about this loop wasn't even designing it. It was designing it in a way to where somebody who can't spell stablecoin could understand what we were doing.
It's one of those things when you are. I'm trying to picture the Wright brothers building an airplane for the first time, and they're trying to figure out how to explain that the fact that you can get in some sort of car, I guess they probably described it as, that can go up in the air, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense. So you're trying to design something that hasn't been designed, but you're taking elements that exist. So we're taking elements of play to earn, we're taking elements of DeFi, we're taking elements of NFTs, elements of storytelling, and then we're creating a package, and then you're taking that package and you're trying to make it compliant, and then you're trying to make sure that this package is not just compliant, it's sustainable, it's rewarding, it's something people actually want to participate in, and it's something that can grow with the community and with the users. So that's not an easy undertaking, and it's something that requires a lot of forethought. I mean, you can't, like I always say, you can fork a lot of things. You just can't fork Fifth Kingdom. This is too many pieces put together, it's too much creative and too much of a lift to do it, because a lot of times people need other people's money to do it. They can't do it without taking your money first. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start jumping into chat a little bit. The very first question, and I highlighted this before we even, actually before we got started, I think it was, from Brights. This is a great question. Can you share more about how households will evolve after the mint? Will there be long-term benefits or exclusive activities that make being in an active household more rewarding? And the answer is yes. We have vocations. We have, we're going to have things that you could craft. We're going to have the hatcher. We're going to have the gladiator. We have the kingdom builder. So there's a lot coming, and your household is going to be the one that's going to benefit from that, what is coming. Let's go ahead and just try to get through these here. And by the way, I want to also say to the brand ambassadors, thanks for answering some of these questions. Favorite Girly, I appreciate you jumping in and answering some of the questions that people were asking. You did a great job with that as well. This is a bit of a creative question. You mentioned that Ember can permanently alter physical appearance, like ear sharpening, beyond being a status symbol. Will Ember unlock other cosmetic or gameplay affecting transformations as the world evolves? I'm going to pass that to you, Zulfiqar. That's a bit of a creative storyline progression question.
Yes, and I'm trying to figure out. The answer is yes. That's the easy answer. Here's a question. If we know that Ember does that, right? And if you have a person who's specialized in being able to apply that and can do it, you know, obviously they're a person who's studied it, almost like a doctor, right? They're a person who studied it. You're paying for their time, their expertise, and the raw materials of the Ember itself. Ember exists throughout the Four Kingdoms. It's just that, as we learned in the Mage origin, is that it gets drained and it was finite. The only place right now that people are aware of where fresh Ember exists is the Southern Continent, which the Fifth Kingdom sits on the door of. So the idea is, and just think about it, we only have humans in our world. If Ember exists and it can alter the human form, over hundreds of years, over thousands of years, over tens of thousands of years, if you had a human grouping from back then and they were exposed to raw Ember, how much would a society or a group or a community have to be exposed to raw Ember and be altered before you no longer considered them human?
There you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Real, you're asking which marketplace? They're not minted on a marketplace, but you can, of course, go and list them on Magic Eden. Magic Eden is the best marketplace on Solana, so that will be the one that you can go and list on if that's what you wish to do. Starlove is asking, as we enter the final days before mint, is there anything the team recommends every future citizen should complete or prepare to maximize? Yeah, so I'm going to answer this question, and also Gonboy. Gonboy is asking about strategy. I mentioned this the other day in the Discord. I released a video, I don't know, a couple weeks ago now, I think it was, that goes over the strategy of using specific NFTs in specific slots in your household and why. Why is it that a common can be used when a rare isn't being used, even though a rare is a higher discovery rate? How does that make any sense? You have to go watch that video. I actually said this in the Discord the other day, that I think not watching that video will be one of the things that will catch you off guard on mint day. If you're having your NFTs and you're like, okay, what do I do? How do I make these decisions? Well, if you don't know ahead of time how the decisions can affect your outcome, then you're going to have to go and watch it anyway. So I'd recommend you go watch that video if you have not at this point. That would be my recommendation. And I'm actually getting that question a lot. What do we recommend once the mint begins? What's your strategy? What are you going for? Are you going for a high discovery rate? Are you going for lowering your fees? Are you going for something a little bit different, a little bit of a balance of both? There's a lot of different ways you can skin the cat. So I've seen that question quite a bit, and that's what I would recommend. Go watch that video. In fact, I did a 3-part. One of them was minting your NFT. We call it hiring. Hiring is just it's a term that's within the Fifth Kingdom. It's on brand, but it's minting your NFT. How does the household work? And then the strategy behind placing those companions and lords within your household, and why you would want to do one or the other. So I'd actually recommend all 3 of those. And they're not that terribly long either, so it's a good idea. What is one feature of the kingdom that the team believes the community is currently underestimating? I'm going to answer this maybe a little differently than Zulfiqar, but in my opinion, it's the discovery rate. I think that's the one thing that's being underestimated at the moment is the fact that you have so obviously we have these two systems. We have the play to earn on one side, you're playing the game, you're clearing out these mines, and once the mine opens, people put USDT in. Well, the USDT is having a discovery rate based on your household that we just discussed. You're getting that back as 1 to 5% a month. I think that's the part that's being underestimated. That's my opinion. That's Zulfiqar. What is being underestimated?
That was my answer. It's 100% the discovery rate. And when people talk about the NFT price, it's not just what our NFT does, but if you wanted to have a private account with our firm, it's a lot more than 250 USDT. I'll tell you that much. For a managed account, yeah. So the 1 to 5% a month discovery rate is by far it's the best in DeFi. It's the best we can confidently offer without having a squeaky bum month. For those of you that know.
And of course, you can participate. And that's also the other great thing too is our system. I see people sometimes ask a question. Well, why do I have to do that? You don't have to do anything, to be honest. You don't have to play the game from the side of opening up the mines. You can just participate in sort of the household component, the DeFi component. You don't have to even participate in that side. You could just do the game side, and you can open up the mines and earn the fees from the High Lord. So there's a lot of different, or you could do both. I actually think that might be something that's also going to be underestimated, is doing both. Some people are going to think, oh, wait a minute, I did this and somebody else did that. I could do both. So that's another side of that as well. Big Jiggy is asking, if demand exceeds the available 10,000, what would the 10,000 NFTs? What advice would happen to people? I think he's asking, what advice would we give to people who missed out? Don't miss out. That's the best advice I can give you. Don't miss out. Because the first come, first serve. There's no, I don't get in early, even if I know when it's going to launch. I don't get in early. Zulfiqar doesn't get in early. I want to get in early, but this is a fair launch, as I call it. There's no body and there's no funny business. I got that question on X. There's no funny business behind anything. This is a fair launch for everybody. As Fifth Kingdom, this is Irene Bay. As Fifth Kingdom expands beyond Mint, what will be the biggest advantage early citizens have that won't be available to people who join much later? I'm going to think on that one for a quick second. Zulfiqar, how would you answer that question?
I just heard you say it. I couldn't read it. There's too many things in the chat, but there's nothing going to be available to a latecomer that isn't available to a person that got in early. It's like I mentioned earlier. It's just the time. It's the time on target. You will have more.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. There's not that there's anything. I'm trying to think. There's nothing that's not going to be available. It's just that I think a couple things. So there's okay, I'll give you an example. So there's games that I will download and start playing, and the tutorial is ridiculous. In fact, the tutorial is so long, I just close the game. I don't have time for this. And there's people in that game that are crushing it. They've been crushing it for a long time. I'm like, how do you guys understand this whole system? It's because they've been in it longer. So there's an advantage, I think, personally, being in early just from the understanding aspect of it, right? But also just the fact that you have time, as Zulfiqar mentioned. There's a lot of systems that I've been late on. I'd mentioned, hey, if I'd gotten into e-commerce a little earlier, maybe I could have been the Garcinia Cambodia king of the world after it appeared on Oprah, right? Or something, something like that. There's always an advantage to being early. It is just the time under pressure is really what it comes down to. Let's see. Thanks for the kind comment. There's a lot of very kind comments as well. I would love to read them just like we do questions, but we're limited on time. We're at about an hour, so let's just take a few more if we can. Let's see here. Real is asking kind of a similar question that we already answered, because we're building a business, not just a project. If 5 years from now, what is one player created story, event, or tradition that would make you feel like it's achieved this vision? I kind of feel like we answered that. It's just you guys getting involved, you guys owning the experience and seeing that experience being crafted by you. right? That to me is how you own something, is when you see the outcome that's dictated by you. That's how I would answer
Well,
that question.
I got a very specific answer for that one. When we open up the fanfic section of the Discord and people start posting their stories and it gets a lot of traction and other people like it, and then I hit you up and I say, "Hey, we want to turn this into a comic book," and then we profit share it with you. There you go. That's a win.
And then you're in the story. You guys want to be in the story?
I can't wait until I don't have to think everything up. Believe me this.
Toza is asking you guys to have mercy on me because you're going too many questions. Toza, I don't think you were here last week, were you? I don't think you were here last week. This is nothing. Great question. Citadel Sambo. I thought it was Citadel Lambo for a second. Citadel Sambo, since how will the first come, first serve mint work? You come and hopefully you're first and you mint. That's how that works. And what happens if all 10,000 NFTs are minted quickly? Then you miss out. It's as simple as I can answer it.
I'm going on vacation.
No, we got a lot to build. I don't think I can go on vacation if I wanted to.
I'll bring my laptop.
But yeah, that's the first come, first serve. You either get in or you don't. That's how it works. What is this team's, what Tesla boy? What does a successful mint look like from your team's perspective beyond the number of NFTs sold? That's a really good question. It's a really, really good question. I'm going to think on that for just a quick second, though.
So we've actually asked this question internally a lot, and we have different opinions and we have different scenarios to play out. I think the amount of households in circulation is a big number. You know, if people that got in, if everybody had a max household, we have 10,000 supply. That means there's 1,666 households available. That means there's 1,666 play to earn players available. I don't think everybody's going to be able, just because we're doing first come, first serve. We're not doing pre-allocations or anything. We're not giving anyone discounts and letting them get in early. We're not doing a bunch of giveaways, and we're not hoarding a bunch for ourselves. I think that's important. I think the amount of households we have in play. So that's a number I think is pretty cool. That's something that I'm watching. I want to see how many households are in existence.
Yeah, that's a great metric. I'm trying to think if I can. I'm trying to figure out how deep I want to get with the question. I could go pretty deep, or I can go surface layer. I think for me, what does a successful mint look like beyond the number of NFTs sold? Not just the NFTs being sold. What does a successful mint look like? When you guys use the system and you enjoy it the way we intended you to enjoy it. And it's very broad and it's a bit subjective. Like, what the heck does that mean? It's like I said earlier, in e-commerce, you're delivering a physical, tangible product. It's a real thing. If it's a clock or whatever, a water bottle, doesn't matter what it is. To that person that you sold it to, that might be a very small part of their day. That mouse pad they're using, or that sleeping mask, whatever the case may be. But when they take the time to actually post a review, and by the way, you're not paying them to do this, they just do it on their own. And they post it with a video, and they say, hey, because of this, I had this positive benefit, whatever it may be. You sit back and you think, you know what, this was an idea that you birthed, that you delivered a high quality product. So you put real time and energy and focus and attention to not just making money. I've always in business has come from the standpoint of delivering value. And I think if you deliver value and you put the right ethics and morality into that value, and you're really trying to do the right thing, I think the money will follow. That's always been my sort of philosophy in business. So, I've always had I also have an issue with taking people's money and then building something in crypto. I mean, it is the way people do things. I've always had a bit of a bone to pick with it, just because I think, well, you should have value before I ever ask you for anything. So just seeing you guys enjoy something that is built and seeing you enjoy it the way it was intended for you to enjoy, it's fun, it's immersive, it's rewarding, and even if it's a small part of your day, whatever, or it's a large part of your day, which I hope it is. That to me is how I kind of gauge a successful mint out. How long is the AMA going? These go a long time sometimes. Sometimes they're short, sometimes they're longer. We usually go a little over an hour, to be honest, because we're trying to get to all the questions. Okay, this is a really good question from our brand ambassadors. By the way, well, yeah, that's sorry, I can't say that's for brand ambassadors. Go check the brand ambassador announcement, if you don't mind. Zulfiqar posted something you guys want to know the other day. So Octavia is asking, as ambassadors and community members, we spend a lot of time talking about Fifth Kingdom. What's one part of the project that you think doesn't get enough attention, but will become really important as the kingdom grows? How would you answer
You
that,
guys
Zulfiqar? I have an answer in mind, but I want to think on it for just a quick second.
I mean, you guys cover a lot. What's one that doesn't get covered enough? I mean, I still think the DeFi earnings. I mean, just so you guys know, this originally started as a DeFi project. After Mint, maybe one day we'll go into stories about how the initial genesis of this project started. But we were initially a DeFi project. I wanted to use the NFTs as a way to lock in accounts. Really, it was a way to create traded. Okay, well, I'll just let you guys know the original idea before it was called Fifth Kingdom, before it had a fantasy setting. In fact, I think it was still in outer space at the time, conceptually. It was a way we invented this system as a way to have some of our clients be able to encapsulate their Forex accounts into NFTs and trade them. That was the initial concept behind Fifth Kingdom way back in the day. Was a way for somebody to get to a certain status, a certain balance in their account, and then be able to trade it to somebody else. Because we have different managed account levels and different access levels. So I think the fact that we're offering 1% to 5% a month is pretty gangster, candidly.
Yeah, that was going to be my. I didn't want to have the knee-jerk reaction, but that was going to be my initial response. It's one side. It's a two-sided sort of system, right? The NFTs are in the middle. You have to participate in the earnings from either side, but the game is just one side. You got the DeFi component on the other side. We get this question quite a bit. What's one thing that's being overlooked? I think that's being overlooked personally, but it's okay. It'll come. And this is a good question from Sylvanus. With the mint just days away, have there been any last-minute changes or new perks for the first 10,000 on the roadmap? For the first 10,000 on the roadmap, is there anything you could? I don't know about the roadmap, but we are trying to launch some new things today. We're trying to not rush them out the door, but we're trying to get them out the door before mint. Some new game updates. We're also going to be, I was going to keep this as a little fun surprise, but in the wallet, so as you know, we use Privy. Privy is just a very easy wallet integration. I mean, you can create a wallet with an email. You can create a wallet with a Google account or with a text message, with an SMS text message. You can create a wallet with your X account or your Discord account or all sorts of things. So inside that, I want to try to integrate a swap feature. So currently, the NFTs to be purchased in USDT. We're going to try to add Solana as well by Monday. That's a little fun surprise. So a couple things there as far as trying to get some stuff out the door, along with some game updates as well coming today. Trying to get those out the door today. So we're going to see what we can do. Nothing really on the roadmap. I mean, we're sticking to our roadmap. We don't change the roadmap unless there's a really good reason to. I know we're almost running out of time here, but let's just take a couple more. Just trying to get caught up. Let's see. Yeah, so biggest bird dorg. I always get your name wrong. Are there any future plans to bring in a feature where I can play the game alongside other players? The answer is yes. It is one of the more difficult things to do in the game. I'm not gonna lie, but yes. Imagine bringing others into the game that you're playing, but then also imagine leaving the dungeons. Exploring the kingdom, seeing your household, going into shops, hanging out. There's exploration you can do. So think of this world really opening up beyond that and with other players as well. Lane Moore is asking about combinations. Go watch my strategy video, please. Check our YouTube out. If you haven't gone to our YouTube, there's a playlist called Walkthroughs. There's the game walkthrough that I released this week, but there's also 3 other walkthroughs: minting your NFT, using your household, and the strategy behind your household. I would recommend watching those before mint. It'll really get you caught up. Can we play using a joystick? You should be able to play using a joystick, but it all comes down to whether you could program your joystick to match the keys on your keyboard. So long as you could do that, yeah, it should work. That's from NeoMaster, so it should work. Beyond the initial mint, what long-term utility will make holding the Fifth Kingdom NFT valuable 1 or 2 years from now? Sire Andy's asking. Well, it depends. At the long and short answer is, a lot of projects, I use the word project again, they talk about the floor price, right? And the floor price, I guess, is an important component. If you don't have a lot of utility, it's the one thing you can focus on. What are you going to do with your NFT? What does that NFT, what is it holding in terms of the value you have put into it? Well, that's going to determine what your NFT is worth. But I think our ecosystem will sort of determine that, because I think collectively you've got people that are going to use the system, and people are going to see, oh, this is not just another NFT project. So I think that by itself will increase the value. But aside from that, I think it's going to come down to the utility and what you use your NFT for, and how the progress is maintained in that NFT, because it's not just a JPEG, it's holding value. It's maintaining it, it's locking it in.
Right. So I'll just give people an example, right? It's just you look at the math, and that's the reason why all of our systems are finite, so you can reverse engineer them. So if you have an NFT, it's worth $250, what you bought it for. Now, what is it worth to somebody else? Depends what you do with it, in my opinion. One, it also depends on the scarcity. If these things sells out in an hour, they might be, there might be that hopium cycle, just like regular NFTs have. Everybody wants to get access to the Willy Wonka factory once all 5 golden tickets are out, right? But if you use the system, let's say you put 5,000 USDT into mines, and the mine that you got into is a 4x mine. So now you're getting a 400% return. Well, now you have a locked value of $250 plus the $5,000 plus the 400% ROI you're going to get over the life of that mine. What is that worth to the person that's going to purchase it? You tell me. Now, you imagine that you're a person who's played this cycle for 12 months, 18 months, and you have a lot of locked value, and you have special titles, and you have special bloodlines, and you have dragons, and you have holdings, and you have buildings, and you own all kinds of stuff. You've got contracts out in the wild. You've got this, you've got that. It gives you a lot of portability. The initial 10,000 citizens are literally going to build this world. All of the locked value that represents every digital asset is going to come from you guys. Inshallah.
There you go. It's a great question. It's a great question.
Yeah.
I am not seeing any other questions. Before I pass the mic to Jean-Claude to wrap us up, I want to give the Elixir Gaming Guild and Crimson Zeal a shout out. They had hosted us for some gaming nights. They were great. They were gracious. They were an awesome group to hang out with. If you guys have not welcomed them into our community yet, please welcome them into our community. And I think some of them are on the AMA or have been on the AMA, before we got to this point. So I just want to thank you guys for hosting us, and we have more coming, more gaming nights with other guilds as well. I think we have one tomorrow. We have a couple Sundays. So the gaming guild folks are awesome. They're just as awesome as our community as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the synergy between the gaming guilds and the Fifth Kingdom community. Sort of welcome them with open arms as they come in, and also interact with you guys. It's an interesting mix of energy, but I'm loving it. Jean-Claude, anything that you want to mention before we wrap up?
Yes, I wanna welcome all the new members who joined this week, and I want to ask you, please go check on the events. We have always events in the community. Every new event we post it in the events, and for Monday gaming session, we will discuss with you in case we change the schedule, since we will have the mint on Monday. So stay tuned. We will have it 100%, but we may change any change in timing for the hosting. We will announce it. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you for being here.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. Or anything you want to close us with?
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of guilds, obviously we have some professional gaming guilds that we're going to be meeting even this weekend, and inshallah they're going to be joining our community. But those of you who have already been here, don't miss out your chance to become a voting archon. Some of you have already created little friend groups. Get together, strategize together, and figure out who you want to team up with and how you guys want to play this game. There's no reason you should cede all of it to the newcomers. So I would like to see some guilds getting formed by the people that have been here for the last 3 months. Get a few friends. It takes 10 people to make a guild. Get a few friends, come up with a cool name, and then plan to make sure that your voice gets heard in the Sovereign.
That's a great way to wrap up. So our mint is Monday. The exact time will be announced in advance. We have an X space that will also be announced on Monday to kind of coincide with the launch of the mint. And I've really enjoyed building Fifth Kingdom up to this point. And some people have asked, hey, how long have you been working on this? And I say, well, in my heart, mind, and soul, it's been years. But we were able to put it together in a few months, and it's been a amazing few months. And the folks that we have in our community has been great. Meeting you guys and growing with you guys and seeing just how this has evolved up to this point. I'm really looking forward to post-mint and continuing the storyline and continuing the features and seeing, again, like I've mentioned several times already, seeing you guys enjoy what it is we have built and seeing more people come in and just seeing the community grow, have fun, earn, reward, and see something that is truly immersive and rewarding in this space. So, thank you to our current community. Welcome to the new folks that have been coming in. Thank you to our brand ambassadors, our royal guards, also known as our mods. That's such a cool name. To Jean-Claude as well for being an amazing community manager. We appreciate you. And we are looking forward to the mint. We're looking forward to opening the gates officially to Fifth Kingdom and growing the kingdom with you guys. So I want to thank you for that. And if there was a question that we didn't answer, as you know, you can always tag us in general chat. You can friend request and DM me or Zulfiqar. We'll answer any question that you'd like. And until then, guys, we will see you Monday, July 27th for the Fifth Kingdom Mint. Thanks for tuning in. God bless and take care. We'll talk soon.